You know that feeling of brain fog, that sense that your thinking is just off? Well, it turns out there's a clinical name for it: subjective cognitive dysfunction. In this explainer, we're going to define what that really means and look at some evidence based, quick interventions that can help manage its symptoms. So, what is subjective cognitive dysfunction? It's more than just feeling tired. It's this persistent mental cloudiness where normal cognitive tasks like planning your day or just concentrating on something feel like they take way more effort than they should. And this isn't some rare phenomenon. The data shows that over 28% of adults report having these symptoms. It also seems to be more common in females, and the chances of experiencing it go up as we get older. So, how does this actually show up in the real world? Well, in a professional setting, you might find it incredibly hard to focus on a complex project that you could normally handle. And in your daily life, it might be that nagging forgetfulness, like walking into a room and completely forgetting why you went in there. Here's a quick look at how we'll break this down. We'll start with the core concepts, then get into the mechanics of three rapid interventions. We'll walk through a rehydration case study, clear up a common misconception, and then wrap up with a summary. All right, let's get into the core concepts, looking at the main symptoms and the biological drivers that are actually causing this feeling of mental fatigue. The symptoms are pretty consistent for most people. We're talking about a deep mental fatigue, feeling like your brain is processing things in slow motion, and that frustrating experience of having a word on the tip of your tongue. It also hits your attention and memory pretty hard. So, what's going on under the hood? Well, there are some clear biological drivers. Neuroinflammation can disrupt the signaling in your central nervous system. Fragmented sleep messes with your brain's waste clearance system and its ability to consolidate memories. And of course, things like nutrient deficiencies or hormonal shifts can impact your brain's energy supply and neurotransmitter balance. Let's focus on just one of those drivers: dehydration. This one is pretty wild. When you're dehydrated, water actually leaves your brain cells, causing the brain tissue itself to physically shrink. This messes up communication between neurons and makes your brain burn more energy just to get basic tasks done. And it doesn't take much to feel the effects. A fluid loss of just 1% of your body weight is enough to impair your attention and concentration. Get to 2%, and you'll see a decline in your working memory and your ability to make complex decisions. So now for the good news. Let's walk through the mechanisms of three fast-acting, non-pharmacological interventions that can help. These work because they directly target things like your autonomic nervous system and core resources like energy and hydration. The first intervention is called the physiological sigh. It's super simple. You take a big inhale through your nose, and then, without exhaling, you sneak in another short inhale. This pops open the little air sacs in your lungs. Then you just let it all out with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Why does this work so well? You're essentially manually shifting your autonomic nervous system. That double inhale and long exhale is one of the fastest ways known to move your body out of that high alert fight or flight state and into a calm rest and digest state. Our second intervention is morning light exposure. As soon as bright light hits your eyes in the morning, it sends a signal straight to the master clock in your brain. This immediately shuts down melatonin production, the sleep hormone, and kicks up cortisol, which gets you feeling alert and ready to go. And the third intervention is a classic combo: caffeine with L-theanine, which is an amino acid you find in green tea. Now, we all know caffeine wakes you up, but it can sometimes make you feel a bit jittery. Adding L-theanine smooths out that edge. And the evidence is pretty cool. The combo doesn't just improve the speed of your attention, but the accuracy too, all while cutting down on mind wandering. To really see how these principles work in practice, let's use a case study and look at the cognitive timeline of rehydrating after you become mildly dehydrated. Okay, so you drink some water. In those first 15 to 30 minutes, you start to feel better. Your thirst goes away, you feel less tired, and your basic alertness picks up. But, and this is a big but, your higher order cognitive functions are still impaired. The full cognitive recovery, getting your short-term memory, your perception, and your complex decision-making skills back to normal, that takes a lot longer. We're talking about 2 to 4 hours. So there's a real lag between when you feel hydrated and when your brain is actually back at 100%. Next up, let's tackle a common misconception that's out there, and that's using cold exposure to boost your brain power. You hear a lot about it improving focus, but the science is, well, it's a bit more complicated than that. On one side, you have claims that it boosts alertness chemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine. But when you look at systematic reviews of the research, you see a different story. In 15 out of 18 controlled studies, cold exposure actually impaired cognitive performance. The leading idea for why this happens is the distraction theory. Your brain has to spend so much energy just dealing with the intense cold stimulus that it has fewer resources left for the actual cognitive task you're trying to do. All right, let's wrap things up and go over the key takeaways from this whole discussion on subjective cognitive dysfunction and how to deal with it. So, what are the big things to remember? First, that feeling of brain fog isn't just in your head, it's rooted in real biological drivers. Second, there are fast, non-drug interventions that can really help with the immediate symptoms. And third, it's so important to critically look at the evidence for any intervention, because as we saw with cold exposure, sometimes the data tells a different story. Okay, time for a quick review. First question, which cognitive function is the first to go when you're just 1% dehydrated? The answer is attention. It's the most sensitive to that initial fluid loss. Second question, what are the two ways morning light helps wake you up? Remember, it gives you that immediate boost by suppressing melatonin and increasing cortisol, and it also helps set your body clock for the long term, leading to better sleep and more alertness the next day. And last question, what's the distraction theory when it comes to cold exposure? It's the idea that your brain gets so preoccupied with the intense feeling of being cold that it diverts attention away from other cognitive tasks. This really drives home why it's crucial to understand how these interventions work, not just if they work. If you found this useful and want more explainers like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button.